tell. It's gonna be a great Noel. It's the Advent Calendar House. Muppets, Batman, Smurfs, and even Garfield's Halloween. We're gonna take a trip down memory lane. Frosty, Rudolph, and a bunch you've probably never seen. It's Mike and pals that come to entertain. Turn the knob and lift the latch for fun and laughs that can't be matched. And just beware the icy patch. It's the Advent Calendar House.
Welcome to the Advent Calendar House's Thanksgiving in July special, a time to give thanks for things we shouldn't take for granted. Like how all of Jim Henson's family and friends decided to keep doing all the stuff he liked to do after he was gone. For that I am eternally thankful, and that brings us to today's topic, a relatively recent special compared to what I usually cover around here, but one I somehow missed the first time around. So join us as we curiously venture towards some strange noises I heard in the woods back to 2015 and discover the creatures hiding in Jim Henson's Turkey Hollow. I am workaholic dad who stupidly forgot there's no internet in the woods, Mike Westfall. And joining me is my awfully familiar-looking long-dead uncle who built a keytar that looks like a shotgun. It's Ethan the Hungry Reader. Hey, Ethan.
Hi, Mike. Glad to be here. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, Gronk. Wait, no, that wasn't one.
Also here, and at great personal risk because he heard the internet gives you brain tumors, but I promised him it'll be fine. It's Sammy Hain. Hello, Sammy.
Hey, thanks for keeping with the theme and putting out this feast for us, but Mike, are these rocks? I broke a crown.
Oh, no. Warn your guests what they're having before you invite them, I guess. And
That's the Formica countertop.
Oh, that's fine.
And it's all for Mike. See, Formica.
see, there it is. That's my portion. And to help us sort out all these mysterious noises we're hearing in the night, one of your friendly neighborhood Muppet Wiki admins and recently inducted member of the Muppet Fan Hall of Fame. It's real. Please welcome back Tony Whitaker. Hey, Tony.
Verbal.
Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I have a feeling y'all might have discovered this before I did, so let's hear about your stories with Turkey Hollow, and we will start with Sammy.
All right. So I did watch this the year it came out. Back then, my kids were smaller, and we were still doing the thing where they were with their biological dad on one year and with us the other year. And on those off years, it was just always a real challenge to really make it seem like we were really celebrating a holiday, not pretending it was Thanksgiving on a Saturday. And so I was always looking for specials, and you burn through Garfield and Charlie Brown really quick. And so I remember this coming out. Facebook just targeted on me, and I DVR'd it, and we watched it that night. At our house, we have screens with Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, fine.
And so it did exactly what a holiday special has. Like, I have nostalgic memories of the kids had fun. They're laughing at the funny animals, everything. And so I asked them if they remembered it, but they don't. But we had one really good Thanksgiving with it. So
yeah, I'm getting to the point where the kids don't remember a lot of the stuff we watched when they were younger. So it's time to loop back around.
Right.
Rediscover it with the new adult sense of irony.
That's right. Ethan, what about you?
I knew this special was coming out, and I was curious about it. And so I hadn't watched the whole thing before we did this. I watched like the first half hour when it was available to watch for free on Lifetime's website, which is, a rare opportunity, I think, anymore. I think that was before Lifetime had become are they even part of Disney? Why is this on Disney Plus now?
I don't know.
I think they just had an agreement with the Henson Company. I think it might have been, was it related to Muppets Haunted Mansion?
Really?
I don't know. Maybe.
I would have expected to see it as part of that enormous Henson collection they have on Canopy. But,
yeah, you would think, but
I don't think it has any connection to Disney at all.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it's Hulu.
they made this specifically because Disney had the Muppets and they were looking for other Henson properties to make, and they found this in storage, the story behind it. And so they made it with Lifetime. So it just almost seems kind of dark to me that now Disney has it anyways. Oh, thanks. We'll take that too.
Well, they also recently put Freddy Got Fingered on their site, so...
Oh, wow. They did?
Yeah. The world doesn't make sense anymore.
It sure doesn't. Well, Tony, what is your history with Turkey Hollow in any and all of its forms?
Probably just heard about it from Tough Pigs in the forum.
Okay.
I don't remember if I've heard anything about the original treatments or anything, but that was pretty much it. They had... Tough Pigs did have a behind-the-scenes video of it where they got to see the original puppets from the treatment and the newer puppets.
Yeah, you sent us that. I'm going to put that in the show notes. It's a really good little video. It's about 5 minutes long, and it's a nice little talk with that. We'll chat about that a little bit later. So I discovered this on Muppet Wiki. A couple of years after starting this podcast, I did an episode in the Muppets Valentine's Show, and I knew about the Tale of the Bunny Picnic. And that got me wondering, okay, what other holiday specials that aren't Christmas are out there starring Muppets or Henson creatures? And there it was, but I couldn't find it streaming anywhere at the time. So I put it on the backlog, and then Disney Plus put it up last year in 2023. And so I was delighted, but I completely missed this the first time around. Turkey Hollow premiered on November 21st, 2015 on Lifetime. I was transitioning to a new job at the time, so maybe that was part of how I just completely missed that this was happening. But let's back up just a bit, or rather a lot, so we can do a deeper dive into the history of Turkey Hollow. Which is based on a concept by Jim Henson and Jerry Jewell called The Musical Monsters of Turkey Hollow, from way back in 1968. That's before Sesame Street started.
1 year before it, yeah.
1 year, yeah.
Sesame Street is pretty much the reason that it didn't get made.
Oh, is that right? That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, the treatments and stuff came out in 68, all the proto-puppets. Then Sesame Street came along and they just shelved it.
Yeah, they had to shift all their focus onto that. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And numerous puppets that were built for this initially actually made small appearances on Sesame Street.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that, I guess there's some argument over whether or not the initial, Grover was part of this, because it seems to be made from the same batch of puppet fur as the rest of them. But it's...
Yeah.
But I don't know if he was intended to be one of them.
He came a couple of years before in a Christmas sketch.
So maybe they just had a whole bunch of that mossy fur lying around.
Yeah.
Sure. If you look at a picture of that proto Grover Muppet, he's got that same kind of dark gray, almost black fur. You're right.
Another puppet that is very obscure that has this is the Rock and Roll Monster. And I believe on that video that we were shown, one of the heads of the Rock and Roll Monster was being displayed as one of the prototype puppets for the musical monsters.
Okay, yeah, that sounds familiar now that I'm looking at it.
And one of the puppets, as you said, the owl puppet had appeared in The Great Santa Claus Switch.
Yes, it did. It was a background freckle.
Owl marionette.
Yep. So Jim and Jerry co-wrote this treatment for a TV special, and it got as far as designing actual puppets for it that are still around. They were well preserved and refurbished by Jim Henson's Creature Shop, but the special itself never really got off the ground. So that was it until 2014, when The Musical Monsters of Turkey Hollow was adapted into a graphic novel by Roger Langridge, who also wrote and drew the Muppet Show comic book series back in 2009.
We've all got our own copies floating around with us right here, right?
Yeah.
Well, Sammy does. There it is.
There we go. I know this is audio podcast, but we're all showing.
That's fine. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'll link that in the show notes too. I'm going to need a copy now. But
yeah.
Besides just the graphic novel part, there's like an intro and then like notes on the production notes at the back, so it's a really good primer for the whole special itself, because this even came out before the special, and they're talking about that I hope they could resurface it, and you can just really get that sense of. And it has the adorable photos of Henson's daughters posing with the puppets out in the woods.
Yes. Yeah.
I love those.
Who later on, they're the ones who found the puppets in storage, so it's a really cute full circle story.
That's great.
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
So it feels like, Lisa Henson might have had more to do with the revival than I would initially think, because we have all this evidence here that it was a cherished memory of her childhood, the time that she got to kind of be in a Muppet production, even if it didn't get produced.
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, that photo is in that book that Ethan just showed us. But
this is the first book I've ever bought where the highlight is the end papers, because the first end papers is, that great photo, and the back end papers, I don't want to spoil it for you. Buy the damn book.
Okay.
It's great.
So then this TV special was announced in early 2015, 47 years after the original screenplay was written. Was adapted and directed by Kirk Thatcher. I've talked about him before. He also directed It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie, and most recently Muppets Haunted Mansion.
Make of that what you will.
The screaming goat, come on.
And as mentioned last time, nerds of a different flavor might know Kirk Thatcher better from Star Trek IV as the punk rocker on the bus that gets nerve pinched by Spock. But all right, let's dig into this. As mentioned, you can watch Turkey Hollow on Disney+. Hopefully it'll stay there for a long time. But we are welcome to Turkey Hollow, the self-proclaimed turkey capital of the world, by our narrator, Ludacris.
Every November, tourists from far and wide descend upon this little town to celebrate a traditional Thanksgiving holiday. Thanksgiving, the most wonderful time of the year. Unless, of course, you're a turkey. What? I don't get a laugh track?
What?
Totally.
Okay.
Yes. Ludacris basically playing the role of Clifford.
Yeah, basically. Credited here with his given name as well, Chris Ludacris Bridges. This character is never named. He's just our narrator. He's not really playing a character. He's taking a role I thought very similar to how Kermit introduces Emmett Otter and the Christmas toy and then gets out of the way.
It's more like how he appears in Mr. Willoughby's Christmas tree. He's in a sort of obvious chroma key set.
Yeah.
Do you think that he was actually intended to be in the first script, or did they add him later to punch it up?
My theory is, because I think this is not serious, but not as wacky as a lot of like Henson fans tuning in will. And I feel like his are like really needed, just like some dad jokes, some little sketches, or when there's something dramatic or serious going on, he comes in to like the release valve. And I really like him. I think it's balances.
I think he's doing a really good job of improvising with the Muppets, actually.
Yes.
Especially in that one of those clips that you sent us, when he's trying to give an interview and Zorp is snuggling up to him.
Or his talk is just like curling up to him like a cat, and he's complaining about his dressing rooms.
Yeah.
He's a natural.
Bigger trailer, have all the assistants. Yeah.
Your mention of Kermit the Frog brought up my initial posit that I want to give, that this film is to Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas what Mirror Mask is to Labyrinth.
Wow.
My brain just...
I've never even seen Mirror Mask, but I think I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, Ludacris is going to break the fourth wall a lot throughout this, so he doesn't entirely get out of the way. But here he's telling us it's Thanksgiving time, the most wonderful time of the year in Turkey Hollow, unless you're a turkey. Followed by silence, which prompts him to look just off camera and ask, what, no laugh track? It's a lot of that. And I'm not sure whether I like this more or less if they cut out some of those bits, but Then he introduces us to the Emerson family, who are driving to spend Thanksgiving with their aunt, whom they rarely visit. More on her later. First, let's meet the family. We have the dad, Ron.
Look, now that your mother and I are unattached,
Divorced?
I think that we have to make a concerted effort to strengthen the branches of our family tree.
Played by Jay Harrington, who was the title character in the ABC sitcom Better Off Ted. And he's currently a main character on the rebooted series SWAT. If you watched that, I guess. He is Sergeant Deacon K.
Whatever it is, it's been going on for years.
Yeah, this has been going on a long time. Just like, I don't know.
He was in an animated movie that my kids still like called Monster in Paris, with like a giant size cockroach who's an amazing opera singer. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Monster in Paris, everyone. But here, Jay Harrington is a newly divorced father of two, but he's hesitant to use the word divorced. He keeps using phrases like the conscious uncoupling, which I've never heard before this.
This has a very strong Henson pedigree, Kirk Thatcher and everything, but you really feel that this is a Lifetime movie at the same time.
Yes, there it is.
Like, the divorce and all that was not in the graphic novel. That's part of this.
A lot that's in this isn't in the graphic novel.
Yeah, well.
And when you look at these people's IMDb's, it's a lot of Lifetime movies and a lot of WB. So
it is a lot of Lifetime people. Yeah.
They had that Rolodex, so it's Henson and Lifetime just smushed together, which I feel comes across in certain ways.
It's like a Canadian contract where they have to have a percentage of Canadian personnel doing a production.
Yeah, it's a lot of Canada and a lot of Lifetime, including the daughter, Annie, her name is in this. She is played by Genevieve Buchner.
You've got to be kidding me.
What's wrong?
My phone. I just lost my service the second we went past that stupid sign.
Who is known for several TV series I've never heard of before. She was a regular on Caprica, which was a prequel spin-off of Battlestar Galactica. And she was on a Lifetime show called Unreal as a character named Madison. But if you've played the recent remake of the video game Resident Evil 4, she is the new voice of Ashley Graham in that.
She has a Christmas movie.
Does she?
It's one of those Lifetimes, but Christmas at the Golden Dragon.
Oh.
That's just fun to say.
Well, all right. I want to watch that. Here she is, Annie, who is written as a perpetually online teenager who's devastated when her phone loses bars as they enter Turkey Hollow.
Same, Annie.
Her dad keeps calling her Banana, which she makes real clear that she does not like anymore, which I call my older daughter Banana. She's absolutely still cool with it, but she's 13 now, and the day she decides she isn't anymore is going to be tough.
Now, is her name something like Annie?
It's Anna.
Oh, okay. So as long as, her name isn't like Patricia and you call her Banana.
Oh, that would be fun. But unlike Ron, I'd like to think I'll do a better job of respecting that. Maybe not a perfect job, just a better one.
Yes.
More on Annie later. Let's meet her younger brother, Tim.
Oh, the GPS is down too. Why do you sound so excited? We're officially off the grid. I've never been off the grid before. This is awesome.
Played by Graham Versher, who later had a recurring role on The Good Doctor as a younger version of Freddie Highmore's character.
He does have that Freddie Highmore look in this movie.
Yeah, well, that made me feel really old because I didn't watch The Good Doctor, nor did I watch Bates Motel, so my Freddie Highmore touch points are still Finding Neverland and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yep.
And to need another kid to play a younger version of him, that was...
Kids don't say kids very long, but try telling them that.
Isn't that weird? More recently, Graham Versher was on the Disney Plus adaptation of Stargirl.
Yeah. He was on one of my favorite episodes of the Creep Shows series that's on now.
Okay.
With some of the actors that'll pop up later. So more of that. Oh, we're in Canada. Same group. Bring him in. But that was George Romero in 3D was this episode. And it has George Romero in 3D. So what more do you want?
Hey, it's on the tin. So Tim is excited about spending Thanksgiving in a new place that's basically off the grid, and as they enter town, he notices a very large statue of a monstrous creature called the hideous howling hoodoo.
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the babe.
I'm so glad I wrote that in my notes as parentheses, just hoping someone would say that, and y'all delivered.
All right, high fives all around, guys.
Good work, everyone.
Soon Ann's gonna call goblins to take her brother away.
Oh, no. So this statue is outside a gift shop where a shopkeeper tells Tim all about the howling hoodoo.
Should you hear that horrible, high-pitched moan, run as fast as you can. Because if the hoodoo gets your scent, he'll hunt you down and eat you alive.
Seriously, no one believes this stuff, right?
This shopkeeper is played by a character actress, Catherine Kirkpatrick. I don't know her from anything else.
I do.
But I saw she played Mrs. Claus in another movie from 2015 that came out this same week called Santa's Little Helper. Also, it's from WWE Studios and stars The Miz and Paige.
Yes, it does.
I need to see that.
I own it. I put it on for my family, and they all found something else to do in other rooms.
Anyway, this lady tells Tim all about the howling hoodoo, and Tim is fascinated to the point where he buys a t-shirt and a bag of hoodoo doo-doo.
You know, you guys, your towns have local cryptids, local legends.
Only the best one.
Well,
Ever heard of the Fresno Nightcrawler?
No, I'm from New Jersey. I automatically win.
yes, you do. I was like, these are my kind of favorite things. I'll drive to other towns to go to just these kind of little shops and buy t-shirts.
Nice.
I've been to the Roswell UFO Fest, Salem.
May want to clarify what hoodoo doo-doo is.
It's what it says on the label.
You didn't just go out and buy a bag of crap. No, it was just chocolates.
Looks like cookies?
Yeah, or like just kibble or something. I don't know.
It looked like a bag of Hershey's Kisses.
Oh, okay.
Unwrapped Hershey's Kisses.
Maybe that's the joke.
Yeah.
Just little droppings. But Ron tries to tell Tim the hoodoo is just a myth. It isn't real. But Tim's like, why would they build a statue of something that's not real?
Yeah, you know, there really is a Statue of Liberty, right?
Yeah.
So she must have been real.
50-foot woman.
She'll destroy us all.
He also tells Tim not to wear the shirt in front of his Aunt Cly, whom they're going to visit. Apparently, Ron's late Uncle Ned claimed to have seen the hoodoo, so don't bring it up. But they arrive at Aunt Cly's place, Emerson's all-natural farm, which specializes in herbs, flowers, and essential oils. And Aunt Cly is played by Mary Steenburgen.
I just have one question. I know what you said on the phone, but it's been a long time, so why now? No one died.
Well, I mean, come on, it's Thanksgiving.
Yay.
Happy Back to the Future Day.
I was waiting for that. I didn't want to interrupt it.
That was the last time we talked about her, talking about the cartoon.
One of the big highlights of this movie.
Yeah, she is a big highlight in this. I love her as Aunt Cly.
She's so great in this.
Yeah.
Oh, she's Ron's aunt, so the kid's great aunt, and she portrays her as both eccentric and also very blunt, and I love it.
Cantankerous and
Yeah.
Basically, Lady Uncle Scrooge.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I can confirm that she loved doing the special.
Oh, good.
She did this piece on GMA, and she compared the puppeteers to Leonardo DiCaprio and What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Okay.
Something about how he stayed in character even after the takes were done.
Okay. Well, they have a lot of the same lines, so.
Yeah, so like I love Mary Steenburgen. I remember her as she was Elijah Wood's mom in Wilfred, the series about where Elijah Wood sees his neighbor as a guy in a dog suit. And later on in the series, her role was taken over by Mimi Rogers, which is appropriate because I love them both, but I could never keep them straight in my head.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I never put that together. But
I just wanted to check. She's married to Ted Danson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Who was a guest on the Jim Henson Hour.
Yes, he
That's
was.
right.
So Both got Muppet
There we go.
connections.
And that was what reminded me of Clifford, was the sketch he was doing with Ted Danson evolving. That's what he feels like.
Oh,
yeah.
That is what Ludacris feels like in this movie.
Okay.
I remember seeing online there was a picture of, I think it was Ted Danson reading to his children or grandchildren, and he was reading a copy of The Musical Monsters of Turkey Hollow.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Beautiful.
Any dad can confirm that there's a unique challenge in reading a comic book to your kids.
Oh,
Graphic novel. Banana. Oh, no.
You gotta do a lot of sound effects.
Graphic banana.
Yeah, well, there it is. There are turkeys on the farm, and Tim asks if she raises them, and she says,
Goddess, no, I rescue them.
Goddess.
so they go inside. Aunt Cly's home is filled with lots of plants and a lava lamp. She's burning incense. Tim thinks it's awesome. Ron remarks, I love what you haven't done with the place.
A real hippie, so they got to keep that 60s aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, oh boy, we get to spend Thanksgiving with the new version of Moki Fraggle.
They're kind of dressed similarly. Annie immediately asks, where's the TV? She doesn't have one. She doesn't believe in them, she says. What about internet? No, that'll get you brain tumors. When was the last time y'all were off the grid?
2015.
Depends how good my cell phone carrier was.
Probably last year during a big storm.
Okay.
Knocked our power out for a week.
A week, wow. It's been a while for me. Usually when I go on vacation, I just like to put down my phone and unplug, and we're still usually in a place that has service, though. But I think the last time I was somewhere that was a complete dead zone was when a friend of mine got married in North Carolina, and we stayed at a little house up in the mountains away from everything. And if there was internet, I didn't even bother to check. It was nice.
Actually, thank you for reminding me. No, the last time that I was off the grid and no one could find me was very appropriately last year when I went to the house on the rock.
Nice.
I'll do it. Yeah, I don't know. Even the most popular campground mountain here in Tucson has a big cell phone tower right in the middle of it. So
No, forget it. Yeah.
So probably just temporary. Like when you're traveling through the desert, there's big swaths of sand dunes or whatever where you'll be without internet for a while. But
Okay.
I don't stay in those places. I keep going and I get out.
You're right. Just like there's nothing here.
I know the movies.
Stay away from the sandworms. Aunt Cly tells the kids she fluffed the feather beds for them, and here's where Annie reveals Chekhov's feather allergy. And Tim takes this opportunity to explore the house. One door won't open, so he opens the next room and finds stairs to the basement, and down he goes. It's dark at first, but there are windows. The shelves are covered in cobwebs, but otherwise it's very organized with all kinds of junk. But Tim fixates on a cool-looking keytar contraption with horns labeled the Gibberator.
And I don't know how he mistakes this for a weapon. It's a keytar.
It looks like it looks like
a blunderbuss.
Yeah, a blunderbuss shotgun. Yeah.
It looks like they're about to hand it to Jack Black and he's going to blow the roof off the Tonight Show or something.
1, 2, nope. We also see a quick shot of a photo of Uncle Ned, and it's Kirk Thatcher himself. Looks exactly like the place Kirk Thatcher and or an Uncle Ned would hang out. So, well done.
So, he would be with us, but he died when someone pinched his neck really roughly.
Yeah. Tim also looks through some old newspaper clippings about the hideous howling hoodoo, including one offering a reward for $10,000. And he finds an old leather-bound journal and starts to read it aloud because it's a movie, and that's how people read in movies. One entry from 1975 reads, Mysterious burble from the western side of the forest, slightly more frequent than the Zorp detected last week. Then on a sheet of paper it just reads,
Squonk, burble, Zorp, thring? What does this mean?
I hope someone finds my diary one day and that's just how it's going to read. No context.
Yeah. New game, parents. Just fill your diary with random words on its own piece of paper and let the kids figure it out. I am doing that now.
We'll talk about it around Thanksgiving. It'll be fun.
Yes. But this prompts Tim to say out loud, maybe Uncle Ned was crazy. And Aunt Cly surprises him from behind, saying, you got that right. Tells him he shouldn't be down there, but Tim wants to know if Uncle Ned really did see the hoodoo. And Aunt Cly tells him yes. And he was nearly eaten alive. She says the forest is a very dangerous place, and the things in there are meant to be left alone. And then she deadpans the line, it's almost dinner. Hope you like beets. Heck yeah, I love beets.
Yeah, I just came here from Bluffington.
You're my favorite band. Later, she says dessert will be ready soon. Home be like beets. Well.
Candied beets.
This is what we call those comedy beats.
Well, at dinner, Annie is struggling with not being able to do anything on her phone to the point where she actually says,
#boring.
Which is the most I'm a middle-aged man writing lines for a bored internet addict teenager line in this whole thing.
Read by a 24-year-old girl playing a teenager.
Yeah, what's she, 24?
Yeah.
I guess by 2015, we had gotten the idea that Twitter was here to stay, and this wouldn't age terribly.
Oh, no. That comes up again, too.
Everybody got the Honey Boo Boo reference earlier.
Oh, I forgot about the Honey Boo Boo reference. I blocked it out.
See, these little jerkwater towns all have an imaginary monster. Like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, Honey Boo Boo.
Could it be any more 2015 than referencing Honey Boo Boo?
Yeah.
Only if you mentioned David S. Pumpkins? No, wait, that was a year later.
That was late. Oh, man, I wish.
The last time we were happy.
She asks Aunt Cly if she has a landline, and Aunt Cly tells her there's a rotary upstairs, and Annie doesn't even know what a rotary is.
It's a microscopic animal, right?
Sure. Besides, Ron is using the rotary at the moment. Annie walks in on him talking to someone from work, and here's where she overhears him say he hopes his aunt can keep the kids busy while he gets some work done on a presentation he has to finish. So that's why they're really up in Turkey Hollow.
Oh, messed that one up, Dad.
Sure did.
So, okay, we're talking about this is a lifetime movie kind of thing, but this is a bugaboo for me where things that get adapted into major or even minor Hollywood things like this, they always add this. They always add the dad with no time for his kids.
That's the Lifetime part added to it.
No, but I mean, do you ever see Mr. Popper's Penguins with Jim Carrey?
I did not.
They made him like an executive with a corner office with no time for his kids. In the book, he was a house painter.
Ugh.
Did you ever see Fantastic Mr. Fox? He's a literal fox, and they made him a dad with no time for his kids. Come on. Is this the only way that we can guilt these executives into giving us some things like, here, you should do it for your kids that you never see. Wink.
Yeah, because Dad wasn't even in the graphic novel.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Clytemnestra and the kids. And
really? Huh.
They're like, what are we missing? Men. That's who are emotionally absent.
You led with Mr. Popper's Penguins and then Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Well, I thought more people would probably have seen the Jim Carrey movie.
Sorry to disappoint. Annie is rightfully upset, starts shouting at her dad, which brings Aunt Cly and Tim upstairs to find out what's going on. And Annie immediately snitches. The real reason we're here is because Dad needed someone to babysit us while he worked. And Ron admits he is swamped. He got cleaned out in the conscious uncoupling and is just trying to make ends meet. But then he says, all I have is my job. Wrong thing to say in front of your children, my dude.
This is the only thing I've ever cared about in my life.
Right.
Wife included.
Then why'd you get divorced? Never really cover that.
Poor Tim very innocently reminds him, you have us, but Annie is rightly not okay. And translates, all I have is my job too, but I can't do that without her and Tim holding him down. And she storms out. Ron tries to go after her, but Aunt Clyde calmly tells her to let her go, which is the correct response there. Go let them cool off for a bit, and yourself. Tim stays and tries to help by asking his dad, do you want to read the dictionary with me? I'm trying to find Zorp. Kid, do you know how dictionaries work?
Well, that's why he's asking his absent dad to tell him.
Maybe that's...
No, that's the most adorable thing here. If your kid wants you to read the dictionary with them, you're like, oh my God, I'm raising a reader. This is the greatest gift.
I would drop... Yeah, I mean, I am raising 3 readers, so we don't have this problem, but I'll read the dictionary with them, sure. But...
Yeah, get out the Sesame Street dictionary.
I wish I still had mine, but...
Him is such an shucks, golly gee Willikers character. Like, that's his one
yeah, he is. But my sweet summer child, the dictionary's in alphabetical order. Flip to the end. If Zorp's not in with the Z's, it's not going to be anywhere else.
It might be the X's.
Okay. All right.
And it might be one of those words that starts with SZ.
Yeah, or CZ.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, okay, fair.
See, we just had a bad bonding moment over how the dictionary works.
We did it. And so can you. But Ron asks for a little bit more time to get some work done, and Tim sadly walks away, leaving Ron alone with Aunt Cly, who asks why he didn't just tell her he needed someone to watch the kids.
Which is a good question. Like, split families like this is what you do. You need the aunts, the uncles, and everyone to help you watch the kids. Like, it seems like it would have been an easy conversation.
Yeah, if you didn't communicate then, you're kind of forced to now.
Did we ever get a yes or no on whether Klein knew they were coming?
Yes.
Okay.
When she said, hi, I know what you said on the phone, but why are you really here? So.
Right.
It would have been a lot funnier if they just showed up and she was like, fine, I'll clean up the house.
It would have been a lot funnier if they brought about 30 guests, too.
I brought all my friends with me!
Watch the icy patch.
And before Ron can explain himself, she just says, it's all right, do your work. Just remember to take them both when you leave.
Ouch.
Should have threatened him with more beats.
Then we cut to 12:15 in the morning. Tim is asleep in bed, but outside the window we hear something go Zorp. Followed by a burble. That sounds more like a croak, but the subtitles clearly said burble. Then a squonk, and now Tim's up. He remembers his uncle's journal, takes a backpack, goes outside by himself with a flashlight in the middle of the night into the woods.
A solar flashlight.
A solar flashlight.
Into the woods. Into the woods.
And who would have thought a kid would have done this after you telling him about the mysterious monster of the woods?
Yeah.
Don't think about this anymore.
No, yeah, this is where they put a commercial break, because we're joined once again by Ludacris catching us up to the story so far.
He walked until, he kept walking and I've lost him.
How much I love his very like Mr. Rogers children's host outfits throughout these.
Yeah,
like,
Luda's wearing a blue cardigan. It's nice. It's a good look for him.
Yeah, was he ever like a children's host or anything? Did he ever get to be on Yo Gabba Gabba? Or
I mean, Fred Claus as the North Pole DJ. He was,
that's right. Yeah.
Dashing through the snow last year on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Which I found utterly charming, but give me anything with someone learning to believe in Santa.
He's looking through a pair of binoculars, pauses, and said, and I've lost him. I think it's safe to say that the hoodoo got Tim.
So we're done here.
Yeah, the end.
Good night, everybody.
He's like, I'm not going into that forest. Not that I'm scared, I'm just... And then we hear a low roaring noise.
And scene! If anybody wants me, I'll be on my trailer.
We continue into the forest as Tim looks for the source of those noises in the night. Ethan, we're back with the pillow people.
Ah, they're huggable friends.
Right about here's where Tim's flashlight starts to go out, so he keeps walking till he finds a chain link fence locked with a padlock, but the key's still in there, so he unlocks it, opens the gate, and it's some kind of gravel clearing. He timidly calls hello, and then we hear a whole bunch of turkeys run out the open gate.
Woo!
Turkey horror film.
1 turkey, 2 turkey, 3 turkey, 4.
And then a bunch of bright floodlights turn on, and out comes a man with a shotgun to tell Tim to put his hands in the air.
Who knew turkeys could do horror? This is the way that was shot.
Oh, we'll talk later.
As God is my witness.
I have some news for you.
This man is named Eldridge Sump, and he is played by character actor Lyndon Banks.
I was just looking for...
Looking for what?
Howling hoodoo, sir.
Howling hoodoo? On my private property? Son, the only monster on this farm is me!
Who's got 30 years worth of acting credits on IMDb, but the only thing it says under known for is Turkey Hollow.
Proud pedigree.
Mr. Sump is, in fact, in the comics. And unfortunately, they left out his best line, apparently, where he says, "I love kids. Truly, I do. But I couldn't eat a whole one."
He calls for 2 other guys who work for him, Buzz and Junior, and they're your usual not very bright lackeys.
Yeah, they have big Rocksteady and Bebop energy, so I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the music when they walked on.
Yeah, Bulk
or the Bulk and Skull music. Appropriate for a farm.
So, Buzz, can I just point out a trend in his IMDb?
Yeah, Buzz is played by Gabe Kuth.
Well,
they're like, good as gone, boss. We chased them as best we could. Those birds, they're too fast.
Whom you might remember as a kid in the original TV adaptation of Stephen King's It. He was Vic, one of the bullies that gets killed by Pennywise.
Oh, how uncouth.
He was also on the show Once Upon a Time as Sneezy.
Yeah.
Which means that he was also like 5 or 6 other Disney characters at the same time. I know how that show works.
Yeah, yup.
And then for my buddy Chad out there, I have to point out he was also Orko in the 2002 Master of the Universe.
Was he? How did I miss that?
Orko
and Mechanic.
What?
Oh, shoot.
And he's for Christmas elves and other things. He plays like a lot of little big guys.
Huh. Junior, meanwhile, is played by Peter New. He's got a familiar voice to me, too. He's best known from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic as Applejack's brother Big Mac, whose only
oh wow,
whose lines consist mostly of "Yep."
There's a character I know, but not from the show. Never mind where.
Okay. He gets quite a line here as the two explain to their boss that they tried to chase the turkeys but couldn't catch them, and Junior adds,
"Totally fast. We got beat by our own meat."
Oh.
Wow.
No.
The things you can say on cable.
Yeah, this movie gets a little blue in parts.
Yeah.
Lifetime movie, right?
Yeah. Sump asks the kid what his name is, and this dumb kid gives him his whole dang name.
Oh, you live with this witchcrafty woman, and she doesn't tell you how to deal with the fairies.
Right.
Okay, well, he doesn't live with her. Visit her for an hour.
The look on Sump's face when he finds out Tim is related to Cly Emerson turns real sour real fast. Tells his 2 boys to call the sheriff because this one here is going to get justice. Okay. We cut to the sheriff knocking on Aunt Cly's door. Sheriff Grover Cowley, played by Reese Alexander.
Hey, Cly.
Grover, is something wrong? It's 2 a.m.
Huh? Oh, that's right. Sorry to disrobe you so late.
Disrobe?
Disturb you so late.
We said it was going to get a little blue. Here's Grover.
Reese Alexander played 2 separate characters' fathers in 2 related TV shows. On Riverdale, he was Josie's dad. And on The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, he played Roz's dad.
Oh.
And if you watched Disney's Descendants, he was the coach of whatever the sport in that universe was called. I don't even remember. Like Quidditch, but American football.
He has a Thanksgiving movie.
Does he?
Another one, A Family Thanksgiving, a Lifetime movie.
Of course.
Oh, wow.
He's kind of a bumbling sheriff here who's clearly got the hots for Aunt Cly. Because when she answers the door at 2 a.m, he says, sorry to disrobe you. I mean, disturb you.
And those slips of the tongue get like more inappropriate as the whole movie goes.
Yeah, like they don't get any prettier.
Yeah.
It's not quite beat by their own meat, but
No, I think that's the worst of them. But behind him is Sump with Tim. Sump claims Cly has been pestering his poultry for years, and now she has this kid doing it for her. And Cly very calmly tells him, if you don't get your hands off my nephew this second, you're going to need a brand new pair of dentures. And that is all it takes for him to let go.
Good on Cly.
Has they been in a fist fight before?
I don't know, but he's rightly scared. Tells him to come on in, and they'll sort it out.
Is he carrying a golf club or a cane?
Yes.
It's a golf club.
It's a cane. We see him drop it.
Okay.
But I was say, think of this like in this, their whole conflict is he's the polluter and she's the organic one.
Yes.
It's a whole like genetic engineering thing, which is a very more 2000s plot line. In the original treatment and graphic novel, he's trying to tell the whole town that she's a witch trucking with demons.
Oh, goodness. Well, he kind of gets to that point a little later.
Yeah. So it's a more of like a Thanksgiving kind of like Puritans, witchcraft.
Boy. Okay.
Yeah. In this context, it's more like how they're just like, oh, you must be one of those, socialist, trans, everything that we don't like people.
Yeah. The others are awake now as Cly explains to Ron, your son fell out of bed and into the neighbor's yard. I like that line. Tim explains he was investigating some strange noises he heard, says he thought it was the howling hoodoo, and he followed him into the woods and ran into this fence. My fence, Sump interrupts. Yeah, your fence that was unlocked, you dummy.
That's how you keep $10,000 worth of turkeys?
Right, yeah.
Loose chain.
Sounds like he wanted this to happen.
He says because of Tim, his biggest, juiciest turkeys are gone, and this turns into a shouting match between him and Cly about how she thinks Sump's been pumping those turkeys full of something to make them big and juicy. He, of course, claims they're organically bred, each averaging over 30 pounds, which Cly calls out, what kind of turkeys weigh 30 pounds? To the internet! I hate to break it to you, Cly, but in 2014, the year before this movie, the average domestic turkey weighed 29.8 pounds.
That's average, yes. I mean, if anyone who has cleaned a turkey in the last 10 years will know that they are big friggin' things. They're starting to get too big for our kettle barbecue outside.
Yeah, they're only getting bigger.
It's vegan propaganda, man.
Well, she has no internet. No TV.
Yeah, how would she know?
She only has her rescued turkeys to judge them off of.
Yeah, and 50 years earlier, the average turkey weighed 18 pounds. So maybe that's the number she knows. But Sump brought receipts, and thanks to Tim, he lost 175 turkeys, valued at a total of $9,922.50. So Cly's got to reimburse him. And here's where the kicker comes in. According to the Turkey Hollow Town Charter, any landowner who abstracts another landowner's livestock must settle that debt within 2 days by 12 noon or they forfeit their land. Whoa.
Doesn't this seem like a thing, like all those Hallmark movies, like every small town has very weird foreclosure laws.
Yeah.
They're always saving the hotel or something, and like, by Christmas Eve, it's like, who's your lawyer?
This law is still on the books, and the sheriff can't do anything about it. He explains the law's there because there used to be a lot of poaching in the old days.
The laws are written by people who did melodramas.
Yeah.
Also, this was unlike the comic, which I'm pretty sure takes place in New England, this is the Pacific Northwest, right? Yes. So it could be one of those laws left over from when Oregon was a whites-only state.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds like that sort of law. But the sheriff apologizes to Cly, who says, I know you're just doing your job. I'm the one taking the bath. And the sheriff says,
believe me, I'd be right there in that bath with you if I could.
Oh,
Chicka wah wah.
Lifetime.
Then he apologizes for saying that, and he and Sump leave. Annie got a kick out of that line.
Yeah, this big disaster's happening, and she's all focused on, like, oh, what's going on here?
It's like,
She's like, well, I can't get onto Archive of Our Own, but at least I can do some shipping right here.
So Ron asks if maybe they can talk to the bank about refinancing Aunt Cly's farm, but she says they aren't too fond of her ever since she spearheaded the Occupy Turkey Hollow movement in 2009. Remember that?
Yeah.
This is how you date your holiday special.
Yeah, really.
It's not like anyone else would.
It's dated, but funny. Still pretty funny.
Hey, got a laugh out of me.
Actually, just makes me sad remembering Occupy. Oh, we had so much hope.
Tim, for his part, is extremely apologetic. He knows he messed up and he feels really bad about it, but he says he heard noises and just wanted to follow in Uncle Ned's footsteps. And Aunt Cly tells him Ned would be very proud of him before Ron tells the kids to go to bed and let the grown-ups handle this. So we cut to the next morning, and Tim wakes up a little after 6, and he immediately goes back into the basement, takes Ned's journal and the gibberator, and quickly slips out of the house again. But this time, Annie sees him out the window, so she follows him. Doesn't want him causing any more trouble than he already has, but Tim shows her the newspaper clipping of the $10,000 reward for the photographic evidence of the hoodoo.
Which is like falling apart from age.
Yeah, like it's a loose page from that paper.
It's got to be from the 90s at the youngest. And I mean, when did they stop publishing Weekly World News?
I don't think they did.
It's online.
I think it became part of something else.
Is it?
Now,
okay.
Globe.
Yeah, one of those. I mean, like, they still have all those supermarket tabloid magazines. But
not the good ones. Now it's all about, now it's all about celebrity gossip. No more Bat Boy.
I miss Bat Boy.
I love Bat Boy.
You can follow him on Facebook. They keep you up on what Bat Boy's doing.
Oh, good.
Good.
It's kind of like WWE now, though, where they're more like upfront about it being a storyline.
Oh, come on.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid lawyers.
Don't tell me that Ed Anger is still there.
But Annie tries to get Tim to come home and not make a bigger mess of things, and Tim replies, and do what? Sit and watch Aunt Cly lose her farm because of me? He knows finding the hoodoo was a long shot, but it's a chance to make up for what he did. So off he goes, and Annie reluctantly follows him for a bit, and then they both hear a noise. And out from behind a tree, we see some hairy creature poke its head out as we cut to another commercial.
Beep! Happy holidays! Howard's phone. Howard doesn't have AT&T, which means no bars way out here. So he never got the call from his friend telling him to thaw the turkey before he deep fries it. Otherwise, it could, explode. Yeah, we missed that call. I'm missing some beard.
Switch to the network with the best coverage, AT&T. More bars in more places. Get an exclusive quick messaging phone for $79.99 after mail-in rebate.
Were you the kid who would sit as close to the TV as possible on Friday night to enjoy the likes of Steve Urkel, Corey Matthews, and DJ Tanner? Do you love Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas? Then I've got the podcast for you. I'm Matt, and I am the host of the TGI Podcast, where we take a trip down memory lane with classic TGIF and TGIF-adjacent shows from the 90s and beyond, and we like to determine whether or not their Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Christmas episodes should be deemed a holiday classic. If they pass the test, they get a...
You got it, dude!
And if they fail, they're saddled with a...
No way, Jose.
So if you like all the holidays and some other random dates in between, be sure to give us a listen.
And when we return, Ludacris is back.
These dense moss-covered woods hold many secrets. And it was in this very forest 2 days before Thanksgiving that Tim and Annie Emerson were tragically slayed by the... Wait, I'm sorry, does that say tragically slayed or magically saved?
Does he want the kids to die so he can break out early?
That's it, I'm out.
Oh, we're done.
He follows that with, you know what, let's just pan over to Tim and Annie and hope they're still alive. Okay. Annie does not want to stick around while Tim gets his dumb picture, and he tells her,
We'll be famous. World famous. No, I'm not dying for a picture. Instagram famous. Twitter famous.
And I'm like, oh, remember when that used to mean something good?
Yeah. There's nothing you want to be famous on anymore.
No.
You're gonna be Blue Sky famous.
That might not be so bad for now. But Annie says fine and gets out her smartphone to take a picture and tells Tim to cover for her. And Tim starts playing the gibberator. Annie thought it was some kind of weapon, but Tim reveals it's a noisemaker. He starts playing music on it. And sure enough, that lures out a weird little hairy creature who shouts, "Squonk!"
What the fridge?
It's about half of Tim's height, not even close to 10 feet tall. So they think maybe it's a baby hoodoo?
Still get some money.
Yeah. Tim bends down and reaches his hand out to pet it, and the creature puts up its hand as well. And Tim starts to dance, and the creature dances back. Then shouts "squonk" again, and this time back toward the woods. And that summons 3 more creatures, equally as hairy and mysterious, which kind of looked like the hoodoo statue, but a lot smaller and a lot friendlier. So let's talk about these critters. They are the musical monsters of Turkey Hollow.
Good. I'm glad you brought that up. Because you know what they're not? Very musical.
No. The music is missing a lot from this movie.
Because the graphic novel is so much about music for a medium without audio. In the graphic novel, first time you see them, Tim is like playing a guitar and he's really bad at it. And there's little broken notes all bent up coming out. And one of the creatures like grabs the note and straightens it out and sends it back to him. It's funny, but it's a pretty little scene. It's all about the fabric of music in it. And there's like, it's 3 or 4 actual songs with lyrics that are include throughout it. Like this was set up to be a musical.
Oh.
And I just don't know why they just abandoned this whole part of it. Like, that's how you make a holiday special.
Yeah. Oh, come on, guys.
Yeah,
we would have new Thanksgiving songs.
Yeah, it's like remaking Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. It's just Emmett Otter's Christmas and leaving out all the Jug Band part.
And these monsters aren't furry like Sesame Street monsters are. They're hairy like little baby Wookiees.
I thought they really resembled the stations from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yeah! Wow, you're right. Oh, this is stations. Oh, they've upgraded the designs from the original Turkey Hollow puppets made in the 60s. These new monsters were co-designed by Robert Bennett, who had just won the Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge in 2014.
Wow. Oh. Nice to go right from there to getting a job.
Yeah, well, that was the prize. That was a competition show on Sci-Fi.
Should have been another season.
And yeah, well, I missed this. I didn't know this happened, but Robert Bennett won the whole thing, and his prize was $100,000 and a job at the Creature Shop, and he's still there.
Still there, yeah.
So this looks like his first big project after winning the challenge, updating the designs for these monsters.
And these aren't Muppets; they're creatures.
Yeah. They are creatures, yeah.
And you can see it, like they had the more like the glassy, like things they said they made like had used like taxidermy eyes to give it that more realistic expression, and yeah, the mossy instead of like the bright colors.
Right.
Very interesting.
Yes. Deep set eye sockets seem to be a major character design trait with these guys. You had that in the original puppets, and they try to echo it in this one too.
Yeah. So he worked on updating the designs for these monsters along with Peter Brook, who is the Creature Shop's creative supervisor. He was one of the mentors on the show. He's been with Henson since back during The Storyteller.
Ooh.
And he was the lead designer of Splinter in the first 2 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. So yeah, these kind of resemble Splinter a little bit.
Yeah, distant cousin.
I can see it.
He was a part of Dinosaurs too.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, one of these voice actors was Robbie on the Dinosaurs.
Oh, really?
I don't have it written down in front. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, let's meet our musical monsters. We've already talked about Squonk, performed by Alice Deneen, who's also performed a bunch of characters on Sesame Street, including Mama Bear and Goldilocks. She's also done the puppetry for Barry Barrington and the Country Bears, and Bria in the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. Oh, and the dog in Muppet's Haunted Mansion, the caretaker's dog, who's clearly the same puppet as our old friend from the Tale of the Bunny Picnic, D-Dop-de-Diddly Dog Bop.
That's Mystery D-Dop-de-Diddly Dog Bop.
Oh, you're right.
She's also everybody's favorite, Snizzy from Aliens in the Family.
Oh, Aliens in the Family.
That has a holiday episode.
Does it?
Yep. A very birdie Tweeznacks.
Remind me later. Thank you.
Oh, you won't be thanking me after you see it.
We also have Burble. Performed by Rob Mills.
He was the one that puppeteered Robbie.
Okay, yeah.
Hence the name.
Sometimes.
He was also the original body puppeteer for Junior Gorg on Fraggle Rock and Ludo in Labyrinth.
Wow. So this is somebody who graduated from full body puppeteer to main hand puppeteer, kind of like Bill Beretta.
Little Burble, yeah. Well, he also did Bleep the Robot on the Christmas toy.
He went from Superformer, then they just got him into puppet scenes for big crowd shots, and he taught himself puppetry, and now he's a great puppeteer.
Yeah. He also was one of the puppeteers for Johnny Five in Short Circuit 2.
Yay, number 5!
And he was the face puppeteer for Donatello, but in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. So that's him doing the face at the beginning. Just, yeah. Next, we have Zorp. I think Zorp's my favorite. Zorp's performed by Jason Hopley, whose photo on IMDb is from an episode of Goosebumps where he played a toxic creep who looks like a combination of the Toxic Avenger and Skeletor from the Masters of the Universe movie.
A toxic creep is in Calling All Creeps?
I know nothing about Jason Hopley.
Yeah, no, that's his only photo on there. That's the best part. That's his IMDb photo.
He doesn't even have a Muppet Wiki page yet.
No? Well,
maybe he is a puppet.
If you remember Ooh and Ah, the monkeys from Playhouse Disney, he was Ah, the red one. And finally, we have Thring.
Thring's my favorite.
It's adorable.
Performed by Gord Robertson, who was the body puppeteer for Pa Gorg, as well as Daddy Dodo in Follow That Bird.
Boy, this has really been a sea change for so many body puppeteers moving into hand puppetry.
Well, he was the face puppeteer on Turtles 2 for Razar.
Oh, Razar.
Some people may know him best for playing Zabu from Zaboomafoo.
Some might.
Maybe they had a lack of puppeteers who wanted to do this.
Well, 2015, the Muppet performers were busy. They had a show.
Yep. Yeah.
That's true.
Because I remember reading, this is where they started really using what they called burying the puppeteer alive. Since they're in the middle of the woods, they dug a hole and buried the puppeteer and put his hand up.
There is a scene coming up where it looks like they were buried in a hole.
Yes, yup. So those are our monsters. They all just say their names like Pokemon. And as mentioned, they take an instant liking to Tim, who explains to Annie he thinks Uncle Ned created the Gibberator to communicate with them. And to demonstrate, he plays shaving a haircut. And the monsters sing back to him.
Burble.
But it also seems like they understand some English because Tim explains they're looking for the howling hoodoo and these monsters start to cower in fear.
Yeah.
Tim doesn't understand what they're doing. It's Annie who has to explain to him they're terrified. And looking for a monster that these monsters are scared of is probably not a good idea.
Which doesn't exactly make sense to me given things that are going to come out later, but...
Right.
I'm not going to poke holes in continuity.
You're expecting continuity from this?
I try.
Yeah, we all tried. But Tim says Aunt Cly's farm is at stake, and he's going to find the hoodoo even if it leaves him dead and dismembered in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, that'll save the farm.
Yeah, save the farm by buying it first.
But he tells the monsters he can use all the help he can get, so please think about it. And the monsters huddle up and appear to agree. So they lead the way deeper into the woods. Meanwhile, back on the farm, Ron is finally awake after 12 and trying to get his work presentation done.
Same.
Yeah, Aunt Clyde tells him she respects anyone who works hard to provide for their family, but there's a fine line between providing and hiding. And Ron explains this isn't for him. He says if he can get this work done today, he might be able to ask his boss for a $10,000 advance to put towards saving the farm. Wish I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not feeling so bad about his financial straits right now. If he can get a $10,000 advance.
Well, it sounds like the wife cleaned him out, and that's what he keeps claiming.
Feels like they're going back to that lifetime quota they have to fill.
Yes, exactly.
You know, I'm disappointed that we never get to see the wife. I was hoping that, you know, we get a call from her and she was like on a cruise or something and, you know, surrounded by hunky guys who are plying her with and she's like, you know, she lights like $1,000 bill with to light her cigar and is like, yeah, what? You?
Just a bunch of Ricardos from Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, exactly. If they could see me now.
But Aunt Clyde tells Ron no, this is not his fault, despite Ron pointing out she wouldn't be in this mess if he didn't show up at her doorstep with his kids in tow. But no, Aunt Clyde puts the blame squarely on Ned.
I loved him, but he was a financial catastrophe. He spent all his time looking after his hairy little sidekicks instead of tending to this farm.
Sidekicks?
And then he goes and checks out early and leaves me to look after the whole place alone.
Bitter.
Well, Ron tells her she's not alone, and he won't let her lose the place. And Clyde gets herself together, says the universe will provide for me, and if she doesn't, I'll just have to move in with you.
Hope you like beats.
So this is a sitcom pilot.
Yeah.
Exeter Gang Pod comes to live.
Get out of the city. So she goes to wake up the kids, and after a beat, she comes back and asks Ron, where are the kids? Where are the kids? They're back in the forest. Tim's reading further into Uncle Ned's journal, comes across a page where he writes, I can't shake the feeling that this forest has a mind of its own. Even the pumpkins are watching me. And as he says that, they come across a patch of pumpkins that look like they have little wrinkled faces. There's a fun moment where they get up close to them, and Annie says, if this pumpkin starts talking, I'm officially done for the day. And nothing. They move on. Wasted opportunity.
And Sam's heart broke into 1,000 pieces.
Wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of Henson production.
I wanted the Swedish chef there to be there with a chainsaw. And
you're the pumpkin pie.
What was this? Did they cut something?
It feels like it. They look like just those pumpkins that look like they're wrinkles shaped like faces that you can get at like a Spirit Halloween or something. But
yeah, the O-Lantern family.
Yeah, yes, the O-Lantern family. Thank you. I'm kind of bummed that we didn't get singing, talking pumpkins, but fine.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense in the context of what we got, but you know, once again, it feels like they cut out all the songs. There was supposed to be a song here.
Oh, that would have been great.
They could have been Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah. Diggity.
Someone made the singing pumpkins and they didn't want them to cry. So like, okay, we'll still use them.
All right. They didn't smile either. That's a different special.
Could have had Big Me and Carl come in and bash them.
Back at the house, Aunt Clyde has called the sheriff over because the kids are missing. Tim left a note that says, off to find the howling hoodoo, but don't worry, I'm armed.
Anything to put a parent's heart at rest. Oh, good.
Yeah, of course. Oh, yes. Got a gun? Fine. Clyde notes there's some gear missing from the basement, including Ned's journal, so they must be in the forest. And the sheriff says, oh, they're in trouble. And Ron replies, they sure are. I'm going to ground them for a month. But the sheriff explains, no, I mean they're in danger. There really is a hoodoo in there. And Ron's like, really? You believe in that? And the sheriff tells his story. I didn't till I saw myself with my own two eyes. And we get a flashback of the sheriff looking for a lost hiker in the woods when he hears a weird sound. But it's a different sound from what we heard earlier.
And that's when I saw him. He was standing there, right in front of me, 10 feet tall, and when he howled, he sounded like the devil himself.
Well, we're in the sheriff's flashback, so we see his memory of the hoodoo, a 10-foot tall beast with glowing red eyes and sharp teeth who howled like the devil himself.
Straight out of Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
You remind me of the man. What man?
It turns out to be Sweetums.
Yeah.
Trying to get to Hollywood.
Or what's that new guy that Target has like one of those talking Halloween decorations that's a skeleton, and his name's something like Kevin or something.
And wrong. Oh, the pumpkin. He's like
he's a
Kevin
pumpkin?
the Lantern. There's like, my name, I can't remember what it is.
It's like...
I'm not a jack-o'-lantern. My name is Kevin.
Who ever heard of a Kevin in the box?
I think my name was once Sid. It's Lewis the Halloween ghoul. But the sheriff says he hasn't stepped foot in the forest since that night. Ron still doesn't believe him, but Aunt Clyde tells him, look around, there's years worth of evidence here in this basement. But Uncle Ned was crazy, Ron replies, and Aunt Clyde clarifies, Ned wasn't crazy in a seeing things that aren't there kind of way. He was crazy in a let's go streaking down Main Street and freak out the establishment kind of way. The best kind of crazy.
That's the kind of crazy you want to have in your family.
Yes. So Ron turns around and starts to walk up the stairs. Clyde tells him to wait a minute. He says, no, I don't have a minute. My kids are out there, but Aunt Clyde knows the forest better than he does. So she's going too. And the sheriff just shuts off the light and says nothing. Spoiler alert, he does not join them in the forest, the coward.
What a helpful sheriff.
Really? But back in the forest, the monsters have brought Tim and Annie to something Uncle Ned has called the Stump of Unknown Depths. It's a hollow tree stump that's got smoke pouring out of it, and according to the journal, it's rumored to go all the way down to another world.
I like how you read that stump of eternal depths. Like it was the bog of eternal
Bog of eternal stench. Yep. Tim attempts to toss a rock down there to see how deep it goes, but that never happens. Burble eats the rock out of his hand. So he picks up another rock, and Squonk eats that one. Yeah, they eat rocks.
Zany.
Not those hard things you find on the ground, but these new soft, chewy Brox rocks. Little sire for you there.
So Tim gets an idea. He picks up 4 rocks, tosses them in the air while saying, for those about to rock, fire! And it's slow motion and to the tune of the Blue Danube. We see the 4 creatures jump and catch the rocks in their mouths, like Homer Simpson eating potato chips on the space shuttle.
Awesome! 4 out of 4. High five!
I was thinking it felt like the opening scene of Flight of the Navigator with the dogs and the frisbees.
Yes. Annie comments, if they eat rocks, I don't want to know what comes out the other end. And we hear one of the monsters rip a very loud fart.
Well, isn't that obvious? I mean, I bought them at a music store and I dragged them out here into the forest.
I hate the fart.
One fart. Oh.
After hoodoo doo-doo.
Somebody behind a big desk demanded a fart. Kids like farts these days.
Yes.
They don't laugh at anything else.
Probably told him to add the rim shot on the drum set, too.
I like the line, then the fart, and then the rim shot. Fart, rim shot, fart, rim shot. Why not both?
And now that we've met the monsters, they get into the fourth wall breaking shenanigans with Ludacris. Zorp comes up and Zorps at him, and Luda explains the drums will come in handy if a spontaneous musical number breaks out. Like this.
Hey, it could happen. You know that profanity is uncalled for. Monsters.
He really works well with the puppets.
He does.
It's one of those traits that you get a Michael Caine or someone in there. Like,
yeah, he gets it.
Okay, what classic novel should we cast Ludacris in for the Muppet blank?
Oh,
the Muppet Othello.
Now we cut to A bunch of turkeys in a pen. It looks like we're back at Sump's farm talking to his lawyer.
The law says I acquire her property rights by noon or tomorrow.
That's if Miss Emerson can't make payment.
She ain't gonna make payment.
Played by Elliot Mandelkorn, who was formerly known professionally as Brian Elliott. His only photo on IMDb is from this. Looks like he is now a real estate agent in Vancouver.
Good for him.
Did he win a contest to be in this?
Well, at the turkey farm, was anybody else expecting Waylon Jennings?
Turns out there was a mountain he didn't want to climb.
Why is he holding his briefcase like that?
I don't know.
So the spaghetti doesn't fall out.
Oh, of course.
I think he's holding something else in that first scene he's in, but then later he doesn't have it. It's like in some weird ballet position.
No, he's like bumbling lawyer character, and Sump's trying to ask him how soon they can bulldoze Cly's farm, but the turkeys are gobbling so loudly, he shouts at them to shut up! And the turkeys understand the word shut up, I guess?
They know comedic timing when they need to.
I guess so.
I am reminded of the great scene from the movie Freaked, where you have an incredibly loud and unruly audience, and the MC says, "Quiet, please," very quietly. And they all just immediately get down in their seats and just, and it continues. Because you're expecting the big shut up, but there isn't.
Right. But here's where Buzz and Junior interrupt him to say there's something he needs to see outside, and it's the missing turkeys. They're back, all 175 of them, back in their pen on their own accord. So Sump tells them this never happened. Nobody can know they came back because then Cly wouldn't be in his debt anymore, and he can't take over the farm.
We never had any turkeys here. Wait, no, let's not go that far.
Junior has some really good lines in this scene.
Yeah, he does.
We gotta get rid of them. We gotta put them somewhere they can't get back from. Somewhere nobody can find them.
You mean like the ocean?
No.
And earlier, maybe they're imposters.
Oh, the Foster imposters.
Of course.
There's a deep cut.
But Sump tells him to take the turkeys to the facility. And we will find out what that is in a little bit, but it sure sounds foreboding. But now we catch up with Ron and Aunt Cly out in the forest calling out for Tim and Annie. Ron asks if Aunt Cly brought a weapon, and she hands him a fully loaded green tea with ginger and echinacea.
It has a kick.
It sure does. Ron explains he meant like a firearm or something, and Cly says, "Goddess, no, you don't want to introduce that kind of hostility into an environment of this kind." "What kind?" "Supernatural," she answers. And Ron rolls his eyes and said he understands Uncle Ned and the sheriff both saw what they thought was the hoodoo, but Cly interrupts him. She's not talking about the hoodoo. There's enchantment at work all around them.
So this is an enchanted forest.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Good. You really believe that?
Yeah, I believe it. Ned believed it. Indigenous peoples for thousands of years believed it. You know what, Ron? It's how I know your kids are going to be fine.
Not a bad argument.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But Ron is still skeptical, so Clyde takes him to a funky-looking tree with twisted branches, and she stands in front of it, picks up a rock and stick, and starts tapping them together, singing la 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 la. And the tree starts swaying its branches.
I am Groot.
She starts singing the Banana Splits theme?
Yes. Ron is amazed, but says that's not magic. It's scientific. The sound waves are stimulating the trees. Okay, why not both, Ron? All you did was explain how the magic worked.
And Clyde's like one of the rare things you get. You actually see her character progressing. Because, like, she's so cantankerous and so angry at Ned that she's even taking it out on the kids at first. It's like all his fault. This is why it happened. You're just like your uncle. And now she's praying to him in the woods. Like, you didn't really see this, like, the anger over grief. And now she's getting past that. It makes me feel better about her because it comes off so harsh at first. I'm like, why do I care about your farm?
Yeah. So, did we get any kind of time frame for how long ago Ned died? Because if he's been dead for like 6 months, it makes this make a lot more sense.
I don't think we did.
But then she said nobody died.
Yeah, I think it's been a long time. Yeah.
It seems like it's years, though. She's been trying to get by without him, so.
Yeah, she just kind of calcified her heart in the meantime, and it's getting used to feeling again.
Yeah.
Wasn't there something about something happening 10 years before?
That was Annie said that clip
Newspaper.
from the newspaper was 10 years ago. So
So Ned was alive within the last 10 years.
Within the last 10 years. But Ron is now fed up. He barks, "Can we please go and find my kids?" And Clyde defeatedly says yes, and they keep walking. Meanwhile, Tim asks Annie if she thinks her mom would let them keep the monsters. And of course she wouldn't. So Tim continues, "We could ask Dad." And Annie says, "Dad doesn't even want us around. You should have heard him on the phone. He talked like we were baggage." And the two go back and forth for a bit until they realize the monsters have stopped. And now they're trembling with terror. Annie starts to get nervous as well and says, "Maybe we shouldn't." But Tim says, "One picture. That's why we're here. Don't be such a chicken." And down from a tree swings the hoodoo with a roar, and immediately I'm sensing some Scooby-Doo shenanigans here. But never mind that now. Tim snaps his photo, but drops the phone, and everyone runs.
Zorp.
Yeah.
Zorp, I mean Zoinks.
And for a second, I thought they were going to forget about the phone and leave it there, but Tim stops and turns around. Annie tells him to keep running, but he's already figured out what's up. It's not the hoodoo. It's some kind of rigged dummy wearing a rubber mask that Tim remembered seeing at the gift shop.
And you know what this means?
It's an imposter.
More than that, it means that Sheriff Grover left some hiker to die.
Hey, yeah. He says it must be some kind of scarecrow to keep people away. But from what? And then they spot something else nearby. It looks like a big oil drum filled with what Tim says looks like dog kibble, and labels with a picture of a turkey along with hazardous material symbols and writing in Russian. Oh no, not Russian!
You want zombie turkeys? This is how you get zombie turkeys.
You heard of the elephant's foot?
Yeah, I think we figured out what's going on, but they're still piecing it together. There's a shed out here that Annie says looks like, quote, a bad guy lair.
It looks like the zombie set from every Halloween haunt that you've ever visited.
Right.
The random toxic waste barrels, the steel shed, so you can bang on it.
Hey, we got this shed that we're not using for anything right now.
Quite a lair, a facility.
Bad guy lair. Yeah, this is the facility because we hear a sound of a truck pulling up, and it's Buzz and Junior. Tim and Annie don't know who they are, so... Annie doesn't anyway, but Tim doesn't see him. They just hide. The monsters, by the way, are gone. They ran out of there when the hoodoo scarecrow swung down from the tree, and they haven't been back.
They'll meet us at the finale.
Yeah.
They are remarkably not in this movie very much.
No, they're not. We do see one of them thring with Ludacris again right now. What are we doing there, fellas?
Sorry, that's why it's called Turkey Hollow and not the musical monsters of Turkey Hollow.
Yeah, not musical monsters. Yeah. We excise the music and most of the monsters.
Anyway, the truck, Buzz and Junior have brought the turkeys to this facility. Annie starts recording video with her phone as Buzz asks Junior,
175 birds coming all the way back to Sump's farm. That's like the steer getting homesick for the slaughterhouse.
Totally dubious.
What's dubious?
And Buzz continues, he's getting the farm on a debt that ain't even legit, and we're doing all the dirty work. We should get a piece of the action. And Junior suggests they blackmail him, but Buzz says, well, he'd blackmail us right back because Sump knows all about his private dispensary, copper flipping, and bootleg DVDs. And Junior adds,
Sump also knows about Larissa being my first cousin, and if that ever got out, Larissa would totally break up with me.
Ew.
Thanks, Jim Henson Studios, for making the gross out now. I don't want my pumpkin pie.
They should have added to that, and I couldn't do that to the kids.
Oh, no. Unfortunately, Annie's phone makes a noise here because she didn't put it on silent. Teach children phone responsibility, parents.
Such a dingleberry.
Yeah.
Did she record us monologuing? Get her.
Junior grabs Annie, takes her phone, and stomps on it. Tim tries to hit him with a stick, but they both easily just pick up the kids and carry them away.
Ow, hurts my leg. Previous injury.
That was unexpectedly funny.
Honestly, these guys are part of the funniest thing in the movie.
Yeah, well, no, Annie just screams, "No, my phone, that's my life," as we see it slowly die and shut off. So now they're locked up in this shed with the turkeys. And then we cut back to Ron and Aunt Cly still looking for him as night falls. Cly tells her nephew, "You're looking too hard. Open your mind and let the universe lead the way." And Ron's getting super annoyed now. He says, "We're not at a fish concert. My son and daughter are missing." So Aunt Cly tells Ron to turn off his flashlight. She wants to try something. And she calls out to her late husband, Ned.
Ned, I miss you. I miss you so much. And I know you love this forest, so I hope you're out there and you can hear me.
And Ron is very reluctant to join her, saying, "You know I don't believe in this stuff." And she says, "You don't have to believe in it, just believe in the possibility of it." She tells Ned, "I know you love this forest, so if you can hear me, it would be really great if you could help us find Timmy and Annie." And then we pan up to see the clouds dissipate and reveal a bright full moon to light their way. No shooting star. I was hoping they'd sneak one in, despite that being really a Kermit thing, I guess.
This would be a great place to introduce some whole patch of doo-wopping pumpkins while we're at it.
Hey, yeah! They went that way. Nope, nothing.
We don't like anything green.
We skipped the dingleberries, by the way.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
With Ludacris?
Oh, how could we skip the dingleberries?
Poisonous dingleberries.
Oh, dingleberries.
Meanwhile, a vehicle approaches from a distance as the narrator hides behind the poisonous dingleberry bush. Poisonous dingleberry bushes? Please tell me these are props.
But Cly smiles and tells Ned thank you. Ron says the moon coming out isn't exactly a miracle, but Cly looks down and says, "No, but those footprints are." And now Ron quickly adds, "Hey, thanks, Ned." "You're doing it, Ron. You're playing with us. You're imagining. Boys, you're learning." So back in the shed, Tim tells Annie he's scared and this is all his fault. And now Annie says, "That's not true. I should have known better." Known better to what? Put your phone on silent? Way to go, banana. And then after a beat, Annie and Tim decide now's the appropriate time to start admitting to random things they feel guilty about. Like Annie starts with, "I've been eating your Halloween candy." Tim answers with, "I dropped your curling iron in the toilet." Annie gives Tim's beloved Crocs to Goodwill. Tim reads Annie's diary. Then Annie moves on to feeling bad about being rude to Dad, and she apparently barely talks to her mom. She adds they were supposed to stick together no matter what and make it work. Isn't that what parents are for? And Tim answers, "No, that's what brothers and sisters are for."
Oh, Lifetime movie.
We fade out as they fall asleep and then back into the following morning to find one turkey is out of its pen. Tim wakes up Annie, who starts coughing, and hey, remember Chekhov's feather allergy?
I want to talk about the responsibility of bringing your kid deathly allergic to feathers to a place called Turkey Hollow.
Yeah, that's really irresponsible.
To a turkey rescue next to a turkey farm.
That is true.
I'm calling CPS.
Yeah, had he not been living with them for any length of time at this point?
Really?
Had she taken the kids and this was like his one chance to bond with them for a single holiday weekend?
Yeah, I don't know their living situation, but Annie's struggling to breathe right now, so Tim starts yelling for help, and thankfully, Dad and Aunt Cly are close enough that they hear him. They find the facility, and Tim tells them through the door Annie can't breathe because they're locked in there with Sump's turkeys, and now Cly understands what's up. Ron tells Tim to stand back as he tries to break down the door, but it's a roll-up door. It's not going to break down by ramming into it.
What was he even? He didn't even try looking around to the back of the shed.
He's a desperate dad trying to save his kids' lives.
Couldn't you just stomp the lock off? I've seen how these roll down doors work.
He's one of them city folk.
Yeah. Luckily, when Tim got captured, he dropped the gibberator on the ground, and Cly finds it, tells Ron what you're about to see must never leave this forest, and starts to play. And that summons the monsters back, and of course, Cly knows them by name.
Squonk, thanks for coming. Oh, Burble. Thank God you made it. So, I knew I could count on you.
This seemed like a really weird change to me. That she already knew the monsters and just hadn't brought it up.
She's playing dumb.
Yeah. Rewatching this earlier, I noticed for the first time that, I think it was the first night that Tim went out, there was a shot inside Ned's shack, and there was a little bowl with the word squonk on it.
Oh, was there? Huh.
I mean, they had the names written down everywhere. It just seems weird to me. She seems so angry at him. Oh, furry little sidekicks, and they ruined everything. And now she's like, oh, these are basically my children. Like,
maybe she was just trying to protect them.
Yeah, she is, but
has she not seen the monsters for that long since he died?
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't seem like it.
I mean, it's not like she has to feed them. They eat rocks.
Right, yeah, that's true. But all Ron can say in response to these monsters is, what the fuzzy animals.
Good job, Ron.
Yes.
Aunt Claude tells the monsters they need to eat away the rock foundation on the side of the shed, and they get right to work nibbling at the rocks.
Eat till they pop.
Yes.
Because Thanksgiving.
But first we cut back to Sump's farm. He's now in a suit and tie and ready to go officially get Cly's farm signed over to him. Buzz and Junior have already told him about the kids locked in the facility, and they ask, what should we do about them? And he says, remember that time Junior sat down on the wrong end of a cattle prod and forgot his own name for a week? They both laugh, but then Junior pauses and goes, wait, what?
Now, did he forget the actual name that he is? He forgot his father's name, or he just forget that he was a junior?
I think he forgot that the incident happened.
I wish he forgot about that whole cousin thing too.
Yeah, here's hoping.
No, that's the part he likes.
Ah, well.
But yeah, let's electrocute the kids. Happy Thanksgiving. Come on.
But Sump hands the two of them industrial strength prods. One zap and they'll think it was last May. Oh, snap. I guess that's a little better than shooting them?
In the graphic novel, he threatened to shoot him.
Probably survive.
Back at the shed, Burble starts to get full, and Clyde tells them to get back in there. It's Thanksgiving. You gotta eat till you pop. That's the spirit.
That was the scene I was talking about with the puppeteers in the hole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so they finally get through the rock foundation, and Tim and Annie crawl out. Annie gasps for fresh air, and Ron grabs his baby girl, carries her away from the feathers, gives her and Tim a big hug, and they thank their dad for saving them.
You think I'd leave you guys out here? I'd do anything for you guys. I'd die for you. I'd move mountains. Oh, right. I also had a little help from Aunt Cly. And, these four...
Monsters, Ron.
Magical monsters.
Magical monsters. Because they haven't been so musical, I guess.
No. Musical-ish?
But Aunt Cly introduces them all, and Ron thanks them for saving his kids. Tim asks Aunt Cly how long she's known about these monsters, and she says since long before they were born.
One thing about the Before You Were Born, the graphic novel shows this origin of them coming to Earth on a meteorite.
Huh.
And it actually lands in the middle of a bunch of pilgrims and Native Americans and stuff. So they even landed at the Thanksgiving.
So they've been here for 300 years, according to this comic. How old are these monsters that that Clyde is friends with in this movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. Huh.
Could be their offspring.
Yeah, maybe. Then Tim asks, what about the hoodoo? Is he real too? Well, that's an interesting question. She begins before they hear the truck approaching again. This time, Buzz and Junior see them all there, so they chase after everyone in the truck. The monsters run off into the woods upon seeing the truck, and here, Thring falls and hurts themselves, and Zorp finds them, and now we see subtitles for Thring, who says, "Leave me here, save yourself." And Zorp replies, "Don't get soft on me, Thring, we're in this together." Those are the only English subtitles we get for any of these monsters, but I love that it's just in this scene.
Yeah.
Is that a reference to anything?
Every war movie.
Lifetime movies.
Basically, yeah.
It reminds me, in all the original Godzilla movies, there's one where Godzilla and Anguirus are suddenly talking to each other, and it's dubbed in, and then never happens again. Never.
No.
Godzilla says I should fight my own battle.
That one doesn't count.
Thring gets on top of Zorp and rides off him like a horse.
Yeah, Zorp helps up Thring, and we cut back to the chase. Cly asks Ron to hand her thermos with the loaded green tea, and she tosses it like a bullet at the truck, and it crashes through the windshield. What else is in there besides ginger and echinacea?
Beets.
Beets. Hope you like them.
I'm reminded of Cabin in the Woods and how the thermos ended up being the weapon that won them the day.
But the truck chases Cly, Ron, and the kids to the edge of a cliff, and Buzz and Junior start approaching with their cattle prods. Ron steps in front of the rest of them and says, "If you've got a problem, settle it with me." Buzz tells him, "You're all going down," but then they hear a noise behind them, and it's Burble. But it looks like a much bigger Burble now. Looks about the size of the hoodoo.
Mega Burble.
Yeah. As it startles Buzz and Junior, they end up prodding themselves until they're knocked unconscious.
Unprovoked, they do it to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easier than fighting this guy, honestly. It's like hitting reset.
It's like, I don't want to do it, you do it. And then they just
let's get Mikey.
Tap each other.
But we see here, it turns out the Howling Hoodoo is the four smaller monsters all Voltron together on top of each other.
The one with the bigger frog!
I told you they were like Station.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, look at that. I really like how they put together, too. If you watch them come apart, you can see like a tail forms an arm, so does a neck.
Yeah, it's great. And everyone else breathes a sigh of relief until Annie realizes, wait, the farm, what time is it? And it's 1:45. They have 15 minutes to get back to the farm. So Aunt Cly hot wires the truck with her teeth. What a woman.
See, she's not such a Luddite after all.
Hides a lot of secrets.
We now get another cutaway to Ludacris, now at a sports desk labeled Turkey Hollow Sports Network with his co-anchor, Burble.
What an amazing turn of events. Turns out the musical monsters team up to form the Howling Hoodoo. I mean, who could have seen that one coming?
Burble.
You know, that's a great point, Burble.
Here, Luda admits he put $20 on the evil farmhands, and Burble disapprovingly burbles at him.
He only has $5. So.
Yeah. Oh.
What's he going to do with the money? Eat it?
Again, Ludacris is cheering against the kids through the entire movie.
Yep.
The villains are Eldridge, Sump, and Ludacris.
And now we're back at Aunt Cly's farm. The sheriff's there with Sump and his lawyer, who tells the sheriff it's 12:01. All you've got to do now is sign this document saying the farm is legally Sump's. And he hesitates.
The lawyer's still in that pose.
Yeah, the sheriff hesitates. Faden's looking for a pen before Sump hands him one, and he's just about to sign before we hear the truck horn honk as it drives right through the gate. Ron immediately jumps out of the truck, tells the sheriff to arrest that man. He kidnapped my kids, and Sump scoffs and says,
"This mushroom-growing, downward-dogging devil woman
ran off my turkeys, and now she's got her kin peddling some harebrained story starring the damned howling hoodoo.
Yes. Good luck making that stick in court.
Double word score on the insult.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
He just won categories. And Tim reveals the turkeys came back. Sheriff asks, is that true? And Sump asks, why would 175 turkeys come back? And Aunt Cly shows them one of the drums full of feed and says, because they're addicted to this stuff. That's all the sheriff needs to hear, and he goes to arrest Sump, who says, wait, now hold on a second, and then takes off running into the woods.
Dropping his cane that he's been using this whole time.
Yeah.
Here, hold it.
/ golf club.
Remember that time we watched that Jim Henson movie about drug-addicted turkeys? That was good.
So Aunt Cly asks the sheriff, aren't you going to chase him? And he says, nah, he's got orthopedic shoes. How far can he get? And Sump only gets a few yards into the woods before he comes face to face with the monsters Voltroned up into the howling hoodoo as they drag Sump into the woods with them. He eventually escapes with scratch marks all over himself and tells the sheriff,
Sheriff, take me to jail. I'll go. Just get me out of here.
So the monsters scratched him? We didn't get a good look at their claws.
Yeah, I don't know.
Apparently they take turns being the head, too, because Burble was the first hoodoo, and then Squonk is this one.
I thought they were going to eat him.
He's not.
Only his heart is stone.
Yeah. But Annie and Tim say,
We would have got away with it, too. If it weren't for us meddling kids.
There was an old man Jenkins.
No, there was an old man Sump. Aunt Cly thanks the sheriff, who's happy to help, and then we get another awkward exchange of,
Always happy to help, Cly. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to you. For you. Do for you.
So after Sump's taken away, Tim asks Aunt Cly where the monsters went, and she says she has a good idea. And we cut to her basement, where she's sitting peacefully with all 4 monsters, feeding them.
Oh, that's where I saw it. It wasn't the shack, it was the basement.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do the podcast all over again.
Oh, well. She reveals Uncle Ned introduced them to her all those years ago, and they've been family ever since.
Do these creatures know that rocks are freely available everywhere?
Hey, yeah.
Maybe they just like rocks better if people have handled them a little first. Warm them up a little, just with body heat.
She gives him a little squirt of lemon.
Oh.
Your Uncle Ned and I, we were always content to believe in magic. I like to think these little creatures are the beautiful offspring of an enchanted forest, and that's good enough for me.
Plus, could you imagine the circus we'd have if people knew there were 4 cuddly musical monsters living in the forest? And that's why she and Ned decided it was best to let people believe in the howling hoodoo. Plus, it sells t-shirts.
And hoodoo doo doo.
And hoodoo doo doo.
Hoodoo doo doo.
And then we cut to Ludacris wearing a hoodoo t-shirt outside the house as he tells the farm was safe at last, just in time for Aunt Cly's famous vegan Thanksgiving dinner, which was just fine with Tim and Annie, who never wanted to see another turkey again.
And he's still mad that the kids didn't get hurt.
Yeah. Well, how many of y'all have had a tofurkey Thanksgiving? I have not.
I've tasted it. It's not bad.
Okay.
I spent a year a vegetarian, and I did not want the tofurkey. We did this like stuffing inside a squash, but
okay.
I was never into the pretend food. Like, it's a chicken without the E. It's
as long as you misspell it, it's cruelty free, right?
Right. But my wife quite enjoys tofu, but not enough to give up a turkey dinner. But Ludacris continues.
Yes, the table was crowded, and it's about to get even more crowded.
And he steps aside and reveals Sheriff Grover dressed in a suit and tie. He knocks on the door, and he and Aunt Cly exchange more of their awkward flirting pleasantries before the sheriff tells her that he personally delivered all of Sump's turkeys to a nearby animal rescue.
He wasn't invited, was he?
No.
He just shows up dressed like that?
Yeah. Cly thanks him again, and then the sheriff just takes a sniff of the air and says, something sure does smell good. He doesn't even finish the sentence before he kind of rudely welcomes himself into the dining room, where he's left speechless at the sight of 4 monsters gathered around the table with the rest of the family.
4 musical monsters.
That's what you get for inviting yourself to dinners, by the way.
Yeah.
You deserve whatever.
Yep.
I mean, typical cop, right? You know, just help yourself to a fruit from the fruit stand.
And Aunt Cly just says,
There you have it. There you have it.
She calmly introduces the sheriff to Squonk, Burble, Zorp, and Thring, ensures him they're friendly, and invites him to sit down. The sheriff's bewildered, but intrigued, which I think is the correct reaction.
Mm-hmm. Commendable. No screaming.
No screaming. Cly asks if he'd care for some beets, and he gets the biggest grin on his face. I was waiting for him to say something like, I love beets. But Annie decides now is the time to make a toast. To her dad and Aunt Cly for rescuing them. She's never been more proud of her family. Aw.
I'm surprised he didn't say something like, let them beat you or beat me.
Ron adds his own toast, thanking Aunt Cly for showing him the light when things got dark. With a little help from Uncle Ned, and Cly simply toasts to Ned. And after a beat, the sheriff asks, so they're musical monsters? And Cly says, oh yeah, grabs a ukulele out of nowhere.
Ned's ukulele.
Yes.
A ukulele. And no TikTok.
Hey, yeah.
They're never going to be Instagram famous.
But we're treated here to an original song by the musical monsters, which consists mostly of Zorp singing Zorp, 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 Zorp.
I thought I was going to turn it to start spreading the news.
Yeah, it kind of sounded like that a little bit.
So I remember reading it was supposed to be raindrops keep falling on my head, but
I
think the credits list the song as Eat Till You Pop.
Okay.
It's something he believes very strongly.
Yeah.
You know?
But whoever did the closed captioning for this, bless their heart. Unless this closed captioning is AI captioning, which it might be, because I saw a couple of Yorps in there and a Darby. Nah, dudes, his name is Zorp.
That's the British version.
The rest of the monsters join in, and so does Tim on the gibberator, which he's got a knack for. Ron on drums with a pot and a spoon, and this is a delightful, very Fraggle Rockish song, I thought.
Unfortunately, Ludacris doesn't join in on his drum set.
No, he doesn't. The whole table joins into the jam, but Ludacris is still outside saying,
well, there you have it. Another magical Thanksgiving in Turkey Hollow. A place where legends come to life, truth is stranger than fiction, and people and monsters live together in peace and harmony.
Nobody invited me.
Ludacris is out the window again. Close the shades.
Spending his Thanksgiving leering.
Very Kermit-like at the end with, well, there you have it. Only he adds, no turkeys were harmed in the making of this production. Wishes us a happy holidays, and before we circle wipe to black, Burble pops into view to burble, burble, burble us out. And that is it. What a special.
Do we hear the quick little song that they sent in singing in the comic? It's 4 lines.
Yeah, sure.
My fuzzy friends, they sure are neat. In music terms, they can't be beat. They back up my song without a score. I sure got a lot to be thankful for.
Oh, we didn't get that?
That's right.
That's adorable.
We could have been listening to that every year.
That's what Zorp was singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't understand that?
Okay.
Now, speaking of the comic, everyone who's got your copy of the comic, what was the thing that surprised you the most wasn't in this?
The music.
Yeah, the songs.
Yeah.
For real.
The rest of it was pretty. The dad.
Yeah, the dad was a big surprise. The inclusion of the dad, the character of the daughter was completely changed.
Hmm.
Also, Turkey Hollow was their hometown in the book. So we have scenes with the kids going to school and the monsters following him around and making trouble at school.
There's a big change. I just remembered.
Yeah.
Sump tried to blame the monsters for his missing turkeys.
Yeah. And so they get arrested for being demons, and in that they eat their way out of jail because they're
yeah. Eating rocks is a big part of the plot, no matter what. But but they did include that Sump had in fact kidnapped a bunch of turkeys and kept them on his own land. Except this time it wasn't his own turkeys; it was all the other farmers in town.
Okay.
Oh, and of course, there's 7 monsters, not 4.
Yeah.
We got robbed of 3 monsters.
7 little monsters?
I miss the most. He's the one shaped like a hi-hat.
Yeah.
The one who had one line on Sesame Street where he said, "See."
Yeah. Yeah.
Any final thoughts on Turkey Hollow?
Obviously, it's great for people into like Jim Henson history. There's a lot to like understand him through that. And like I said, I have great memories of watching it. But like I said, my kids don't remember watching it, and I don't see it getting played on TV. So I think it was missing that, music.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's the kind of thing that would have made it what people come back to year after year and remember and it lives in their brain. But they wanted to replace that with divorced dads and environmentalism and turkey drugs.
Banana.
Farts.
But adorable. I'll rewatch it anytime someone wants to.
The monsters themselves are by far the best part. Yeah. And there are a lot of things that I like about this, but watching it, I realized actually helped me put together why the musical monsters of Turkey Hollow never came out. Which is that, of course, Jim Henson was working on it at about the same time as, Sesame Street. And then the success of Sesame Street led to the success of The Muppet Show. And at about the time when The Muppet Show ended, then he could do anything he wanted. So why didn't he do Turkey Hollow? Because E.T. happened. And it has almost the exact same plot.
Yes.
So this movie, this particular version of Turkey Hollow, has gone way out of its way to be unlike E.T. And I think it's kind of the poorer for it, because there are some elements that, that work a lot better in that context.
Okay.
Ever since it came out, I used to watch it every Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving, but I haven't seen it for a few years now. So it was nice getting back to it.
Yeah, I liked this a lot. I am so glad it's on Disney Plus. I hope it stays available for a long time because they've created a delightful little pocket universe here.
You know what? That's a good way to put it. It's sort of like how, it's the best how holiday specials really just create a little world for you in just a few short minutes, under an hour. This is a little more than an hour, but I think it does the same.
Yeah. But thank you all for following me into the woods for this hidden gem of a special.
All right.
Ethan.
Sammy?
Ethan. Ethan. Pikachu. Oh, wait.
Well, if people want to summon you with a custom-made keytar / flugelhorn, where can they find you on the internet if you wish to be found? Tony.
Usual, just hanging around Muppet Wiki a lot, and usually on Twitter, not X, Twitter.
Sammy.
I'm always down to Flugel. So my main spot is at Sammy Hain on Twitter and most of your convenient social media, unless I'm in a dead zone. Or on Facebook, you can look for my special Easter page, Sammy's Easter Tales.
And Ethan.
Hey, you can always listen to me talk on my own podcast, Special Presentation, or Alf Will Not Be Seen Tonight, which I do with my friend, Internet Bon Vivant Bitter Corella, also known as Mike. But you can also see some of my more recent work if you go to the IFComp website and look for the word puppet, and you will find my game. Put Your Hand Inside the Puppet Head, which is a enormous, sprawling tribute to the Muppets and Jim Henson that I only won 10th place with in the competition, but I'm still proud.
Hey, 10th place is pretty good. Wasn't out of 10, right?
No, it was out of 75. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. Please check out all of those links. They are in the show notes of this episode. And to find me, just go to adventcalendar.house and you can take it from there. Next time we leap back into Christmas with another Scrooge Sunday episode. Talk to y'all then. For now, for Ethan, Tony, and Sammy, from my own enchanted grove where I can make the trees dance. This is Mike Westfall wishing you a happy Thanksgiving in July, and watch out for that icy patch. Zorp! Next time on the Advent Calendar House.
And so Dr. Beckett finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping each time that his next leap will be the leap home.